Greetings, Benjamin J from BENZTRAINZ with another in this series. Well, as you see, we are on the bench getting ready to do a repair, so I figured I'd do a video. This is a pretty common problem. As you see, this is a 999 motor, and the contact plate itself is broken, as you can see. Now, when I got this motor, it didn't run, of course, and someone had broken that peg off, and they had taken the contactor and actually folded it over so it was hooked around this, soldered a wire to it, put a huge spring under it, and expected it to run. Of course, it did not. So another motor I picked up cheap. Anyway, I want to show you a really simple repair for one of these broken plates. It only takes a minute to do this. So go down to Dollar General or Dollar Store and you get these big bobby pins. These things are really great for doing these repairs. So you take this bobby pin. Now this is spring steel. So you take this bobby pin, fold it open, and cut it off. Just like that. And just pinch it. This is tempered steel, spring steel in fact. So you just pinch it and then it'll snap right off. And we're going to use this to replace that missing peg on the contactor. So cut a piece about, I don't know, an inch long, inch and a half maybe. Pinch it, break it off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to epoxy this right there. Really simple to do this. I don't know how well you can see it. But we're going to take this piece of steel and epoxy it directly to that plate, just like that, so it will replace that peg. So, first thing we're going to do, set that aside, we're going to grab a single edge razor blade and we're going to scratch this plastic. Just diagonally scratch it. And as you see, this scratches it quite well. So scratch it in that direction, turn it, and then scratch it in this direction. And it gives you a waffle pattern there for that epoxy to stick to. All right, so now we take a, we take a cloth and we have a small bottle of 91% alcohol. And we're just going to wipe that off. As you see, just like that. That will completely degrease it and allow that epoxy to stick to it. Now that's virtually pure alcohol. You can see it's already evaporated. So now our old friend, Epoxy Putty. And this is coming right down to the end of it. This is almost gone. So we take a chunk of epoxy putty and just break a piece off. As you see, wow, this stuff is really getting dried out. And we're just going to take this piece and knead it, as you see. It should be all right once it warms up from my hand. And it doesn't take long to do this. This is the most time-consuming part, actually. This will repair this in 5 minutes once I get this mixed. Of course, if it isn't too dried out to work, this is really crispy feeling in my fingers. So we get one universal color, as you see, and this stuff is just like Bondo. You keep kneading it, and it gets softer and softer and softer, and you put it down, and in 2 minutes, it turns into a solid. So really get this stuff mixed up. Like I said, I don't know how well this epoxy is going to work. It is quite old. And this is right at the end of the stick. So we've got this kneaded. So we take a piece, break it off, kind of flatten it out as you see into an oval. Now just take your peg, as you see, Put it on top of the contactor plate. Make sure it's reasonably centered. Stuff is getting sticky. Get that wire out of the way. Anyway, you just stick this down to the contactor plate, just like that. Get it nice and thin. As you see, it'll literally break off the sides. You can just scrape it out of there. And on this side as well. And that's it. Push this down, align your peg, and as you see, it is virtually repaired. Just stick this down with your finger, get it nice and flat. There's lots of room underneath that contactor, lots of room. So as you see, we now have a peg on the end of the contactor plate. So basically just let that sit for about 5 minutes and it will be absolutely solid, or it should be anyway, if this epoxy is still good. There's a piece right there that's got a real rock inside of it. And let's see, we need to get that out of there. Whoop. Come back here. There. All right. And that's it. Let that set and you have repaired the contactor plate. So it only takes a minute to do this. Literally, it only takes a minute to do this, as you can see. So that epoxy will harden in about 5 minutes. Put the spring back on, snap the contactor on it, resolder your wire, and as you see, it is repaired. It's a really, really simple repair. Anyway, I'll let that set. I'll do a follow-up and we'll get this assembled and running. Anyway, I just want to do a quick video on a really simple repair to repair that broken peg on the contactor plate itself. As you see, it's actually quite effective. So as soon as that solidifies, you've got the contactor plate repaired. Slide the contactor back over it, put the spring on it, snap it down, add your wire, and you are up and running. So I'll do a follow-up after this stuff sets. Pretty straightforward, really easy to do this. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.